This is the final project recap. So ultimately, it's what have I learned? Um, I think I learned a lot. I've always known to be prepared and stuff like that. From of course classes and instructions by instructors and things of that nature. Just sometimes common sense. Well, I guess common sense isn't really common unless you really know about the subject. So then it makes it common. Anyway, um, getting into the field and actually doing the work definitely made it different. One of the biggest things I learned is that you'd rather shoot more and have more to work with in post compared to just shooting everything you planned, if that makes sense. Maybe I really feel like if I would have taken some time to maybe kind of get this shot here and there, because I actually fulfill like my kind of like I follow my storyboard, but there are some shots that I was in the field and I kind of just looked at and I said, I might be able to make that work, but then I just kind of discarded it and just kept going for the sake of time and things like that. But looking back on it, if I would have made more time, probably to get those shots, then it might have made a little bit of a difference. The biggest thing is just being prepared. Say for example, I know that with my situation is that some people had to kind of handle their business and do other things, but even if that wasn't the case, say for example, if a cinematographer or anybody a part of the staff had to be sick or something like that to where they couldn't be there, I should still try to do my best to have some kind of knowledge about what's going on and not necessarily just depending on my particular role. Um, and of course, some of the film sets that I've worked on before, they always have like the director doing the director things and everybody else having their own separate parts. But at the same time, I think, looking back on it, it's a little bit better to know a little bit about everything. And I guess some subjects you really can't know a little bit about. You have to know an actual good amount. So maybe one of the things that I would look on when I look at media jobs as a whole, I need to be able to, start from the bottom and go all the way up to the top in terms of the information that needs to be known. It needs to be some type of general knowledge of something that's going on. Specifically with audio, so I've known about audio, like the basics of it, but I think sometimes I learned a lot more when I was editing audio, because some of the things when I used to do projects before, I was so confused on, but dealing with this project and things like that, those things that I was confused on kind of cleared it up. Um, so that was one of the big things that I kind of understood, like little things like maybe putting a C-47 stand closer, angling a certain kind of way, looking a certain kind of direction instead of trying to record natural sounds. Of course it's always best to record natural sounds, but not spending too much time trying to re-record a sound and worrying about while you're doing it outside, a scene that's outside, and you having cars, honk horns while they're driving down the road and things like that, kind of messing up the dialogue between the two people. Definitely more of a control setting, understanding what a control setting is, trying to get a controlled set pretty much. And just not necessarily worrying about, this the smallest things. It's pretty much like a business to where you got to give and go. If you can't do it right now, then maybe you have to do it just later, especially if you only have a certain amount of time. And that's just the nature of the business. So pretty much overall, I feel like I learned a good bit, and I'm really excited that I went through the experience and how I did go through it, because more than anything, it definitely taught me something that I wasn't used to. It definitely taught me something to look back on, and for next time, I know how to develop ideas better. Like, because specifically with this project, I feel like one of my biggest errors maybe being a little naive, just a little bit, and dreaming a little too big, because it was originally like a 30-minute script that I tried to chop down to 10 minutes. So when I was chopping and chopping and chopping, I was like, oh, I'm losing all the meat. And so one of the problems is I was like, well, if I cut this out, then this won't make sense. If I cut this out, this won't make. So kind of like that kind of issue. But I think overall, I did the best that I could with the situation I was in and what I had. And I definitely want to redo it as well. You know, so I think that's everything that I learned. And I'm happy to have had the experience. You know, it was a lot of stressful situations, but nothing too stressful. It was a lot of almost tears and a lot of almost smiles. So, but I really appreciate the opportunity that I was given.